You're muted.
God, the modern day of documentary filmmaking.
Oh my god, I know.
Ugh, hate it. Anyway. Okay. Lily, have you ever had an orgasm?
I don't think I've ever actually had an orgasm, and I've heard people say if you've had one, you'd know. But I really don't think I have, either whilst having sex or whilst masturbating. I feel like there have been a couple of times where I've come close, but it tends to be you sort of get that build up and then it just sort of flatlines. There's no crescendo, I suppose would be the thing to call it. I still enjoy sex despite that, but it does kind of feel like I'm missing out on this big part of sex that obviously for a lot of people is, the whole point of it. Being with a new partner, it's difficult because I want to say to them, just so you know, I might not be able to come. It's not your fault. I'm having a great time, but it's just not something that my body is able to do. My libido was probably the highest in lockdown, especially in that first lockdown that it's ever been. I've got to admit, especially in the first lockdown, I did break some of the lockdown rules because, I was really good for the first month. So sort of March to April 2020, I stuck to all the rules. I was great. And then it just became a little bit too difficult going that long without seeing my partner, not only sexually, but also romantically. I think being sat at home all the time, just in your joggers all day doing nothing, makes you feel really, really unsexy. So it was this very weird thing between being really lonely and bored and horny and feeling kind of revolting. Nothing makes me feel more empowered than just putting on like the sexy red lights in my room and then getting into like a nice lacy matching set of underwear, putting on some tunes, having a little boogie. The great thing is I do it for myself, and I'll take a nice selfie in red lights just so I can feel good about myself. I'm currently on 2 different medications and they both affect my sex life and my libido in different ways. So I'm on Dianet, which is a contraceptive pill used to treat PCOS, which is a hormone disorder. And then I'm also on citalopram, which is an antidepressant. They're both quite well known to minimise sex drive, and I've definitely felt that, and being on both of them has meant that currently my sex drive is completely at rock bottom. I got prescribed citalopram just before Christmas, and since then I've only been in the mood to masturbate maybe once a week, sometimes only once a fortnight, and I used to be someone with a really high sex drive, so it's been quite difficult for me. It's a love-hate relationship because I really need those medications to function, but they have completely killed off my sex drive, which has made it quite difficult now that things are reopening and I kind of want to be seeing more people and having sex and making those connections now that I can. One of my biggest wishes for society is that people would talk more about sex, because one of the things that absolutely baffles me is that pretty much everyone is having it. Everyone exists because of it. It's so normal and people just don't talk about it. Because people aren't talking about it, there's a complete lack of education. I think if when I was a teenager I had heard more people talking about, for example, that they'd never had an orgasm, or, more education about what a healthy, normal vulva can look like and how they all look different and unique. And if I'd been taught about, what a healthy sexual dynamic is with a partner, I think I would have grown up a more well-rounded person instead of having to sort of teach myself these things in my early adulthood. I think because everyone's been in lockdown, there has been this sort of mass sexual frustration. And I think the way that relationships have evolved to exist in the pandemic means that I think for a lot of people, things like, cyber sex, mutually masturbating on FaceTime, that sort of thing has become more normalised. And I think it's something that people are actually viewing as something that can be a part of a healthy relationship, even not in a pandemic, which I think is actually really nice.